Hello and welcome. My name is Brian McAvoy.
And I'm Tim Shank. This is Two Cyborgs and a Microphone.
Tim and I usually record our show on Thursday afternoon, but I'll be at DEF CON this week, so we're mixing it up and recording Sunday morning. I'm enjoying my morning coffee from my Two Cyborgs mug, as usual. Tim, what are you enjoying this morning?
Sundays are a special day for me because I take a supplement every Saturday night called Physiology.
Well, that kind of leads into what we're talking about, which is performance-enhancing substances. Let's start off with you telling us a little bit about Physiology.
Physiology is a GABA analog. It's more of an anti-anxiolytic, so I take it on Saturday nights. It helps me have a great night's sleep. And then Sundays, I have a completely happy and stress-free day.
Interesting. I haven't heard of this, so I know less than the average listener about nootropics. How much do you take?
I take around 2,000 milligrams, which is a high dose, and I only do it once a week. The reason I do it once a week only is because it does have some withdrawal effects if you do it on a regular basis. When I take it at night. It always makes you really sleepy. Kind of makes you a little tipsy in the morning. Similar to what alcohol makes you feel, but not exactly. There's no slurring of speech and no brain fog or anything like that. What I have is a slightly decreased motivation. When you take this stuff, you wake up very happy and relaxed, and you kind of stay that way throughout the entire day, which is why it would be more of a performance-enhancing drug. I know people that take this that are very anxious. It resolves that for them so that they can be a more effective person.
Wow. And you feel like that helps you throughout the week by having a totally chill Sunday.
Having a stress-free day is really centering. It really helps you. I hit the ground running on Monday because on Sundays, I'm just not worried about a single thing. I feel refreshed.
That's pretty incredible. I know people who don't get a single refreshing day their entire year.
I agree. And I think this helps me a lot with that. And I think I know other people who do it more often. And I know that it helps them.
Well, this is perfect for our episode because we're talking about performance enhancers. This can start with something as simple as aspirin, just something to take away a dull pain like a headache. We can also get into things like stimulants, the coffee I'm drinking all the time.
Let's not forget nootropics, which is a big focus for me.
Very, very true.
When we talk about drugs, really anything qualifies as a drug if it's taken for a physiological effect. Things like coffee, that's something our employers realized a long time ago, is that caffeine is a performance-enhancing drug. It's a stimulant, and even though it's addictive, they've provided it to us for free at work because they know it enhances our performance while we're there.
We draw such a weird line in the sand when it comes to things that we call drugs. Employers discourage certain drugs like marijuana. Hey, if you're driving, that makes perfect sense. Things like caffeine, they encourage it. They give that to you for free. I'd like to define drug just so we can show how vague it is. A drug is a medicine or other substance which has a physiological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body. So caffeine definitely falls into that category.
I think a lot of things can fall under that. I mean,
what else?
Introduced into the body. Other substance introduced into the body pretty much applies to everything. Even something like lotion. If you take aloe vera out of a plant, you rub it on your hands, you're introducing a substance into your body for a physiological effect.
If you watch my mood improve as I eat chocolate, you would think that I was eating pure dope.
Well, you kind of are. There's a stimulant in chocolate.
There's a little bit of caffeine.
It's not caffeine. It's something similar, but it's not exactly caffeine.
Well, I'm even talking about milk chocolate, which has all the extras stripped out of it. The chocolate, I think in Europe, they leave some of the goodies in there that are a little closer or over the line of what we call a drug.
That's one side of the scale on these. What's on the other side?
On the other side, you have things like anabolic drugs or human growth hormones, and these are used as muscle builders.
I don't see anything wrong with building muscle or doing something to your body. I'm all for personal liberty, especially when it comes to your body.
We're both about personal liberty. I'm planning to get another implant today, which is good that we're doing the recording now because later on I'm not going to be in any shape to record.
With anabolic steroids, I get in a competitive environment, you need to have all of the players starting from the same baseline in some way. That's really necessary for any kind of competition. But for personal growth, I don't think there's any reason to limit people as long as they understand the risks and the impacts of whatever it is they're doing.
And honestly, I think one of the reasons things like anabolic steroids are outlawed because it can really increase a person's aggression. Don't want to have 350-pound football players beating up on their girlfriends. We don't need more of that.
I don't think we need to blame a drug for somebody's personal choices and what they choose to do.
I think they need to be held responsible, though.
Everybody should be held responsible for the impact they have on other people. But the drug itself is not the reason for that. And a person who knows that something makes them violent needs to be that's their personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Another performance-enhancing substance, which we kind of touched on with caffeine, are stimulants. Stimulants, there's a wide range of stimulants, and they go all the way from caffeine up to methamphetamine.
Mm-hmm. Like all the categories of these, stimulants have a spectrum from caffeine, which is, so common you find it given away for free. In office settings, you find Starbucks advertising, kid drinks, gateway drinks, all the way up to things like methamphetamines and cocaine, which are also stimulants. So we've got this spectrum. We do have to draw the line somewhere.
Let's go back to the physical performance enhancing substances, because there's a wide variety of those. So we talked about the anabolic drugs, which build muscle. But there's also human growth hormone, which does a little bit more than build muscle. There are human biomolecules and adaptogens. What is the one that increases your oxygen, your blood oxygen?
The blood boosters.
The blood boosters. Well, those are interesting to me, especially because increased oxygen enhances your mental capability. So let's talk about that.
Well, those are neat because the idea of getting more oxygen to your muscles and brain is a fairly natural way to do things, I would think. I don't know what the side effects of taking blood boosters are, but I've, heard of, taking O2. So there's things like oxygen bars where people just go and they get this rush of nearly pure oxygen, and that's a mood enhancer right there. It gets your brain moving, your muscles recover faster and perform better.
Well, I've never done any blood boosters or anything like that, Brian, but I have been to an oxygen bar. Last time we were in Vegas for CES, my wife and I sat down at an oxygen bar, and it was excellent. The way it works is they have an oxygen tank, similar to what they use for medical purposes. They bubble that oxygen through something that flavors it, and then you breathe it in through a mask, and you sit there for, 20 minutes. But what's really striking about it is how clear your thoughts become. It just clears your head, whether you're tired or have some kind of brain fog or anything like that, had a hard day. All of a sudden, your head is very clear, and I loved it. Now, I don't know anything about how that enhanced physical performance, but I get the sense that it would increase your endurance, wouldn't it?
I would think so. All that clear-headedness and focus. What was that when I was in college?
Yeah, so that kind of goes to what we have on our list here is ergogenic aids. There's a class of performance-enhancing substances that increase your output ability.
And these are different than the things like the anabolic steroids and the human growth hormones, because these give you a boost for a game or a practice session. They let you exercise beyond your ability for a short period. So kind of like a health or a mana potion.
That could be kind of dangerous in the sense of overexertion.
Oh yeah, you could wreck yourself, but you're able to perform for a short period.
Well, that's a reason I think that when we all take, or most of us take, performance-enhancing substances to overcome fatigue, to perform when we have other things. So like when I have a headache, I take Advil or Aleve or something like that.
Oh yeah, in the setting of a workplace, taking a painkiller in order to push through the day when you have a headache, all of a sudden your performance goes back to normal.
Employers have been giving us for free an addictive stimulant for many years because it helps us perform at work. And I'm talking about coffee. I'm talking about coffee because back in the, I don't know when it started, maybe in the 20s or something, employers knew that while this drink or this drug is addictive, it helps people perform. So they've given it to us for free for a long time. And that's interesting to me because that's a questionable practice in my mind.
It's not a controlled substance at all. I can go buy caffeine pills and take 300 if I wanted.
Well, I have a bag of pure caffeine that even 1 teaspoon would send me into cardiac arrest. And I just ordered that online. Now, I of course, I would use it much more carefully than that. I wouldn't, do that. But there's certain ways to use it. And if you're careful, it's fine.
You're a recreational flatliner, huh?
Yeah. No, I'm not. Where they draw the line of what's acceptable, what's not, what's legal, is it bothers me a little bit how that's so gray.
I think it's up to each person to decide where they draw the line. Now, obviously, if you're in a competitive sport, there's going to be people testing certain substances, and by participating in a competitive sport, you agree to the rules that they set forth.
Well, one of the things that we found in our research when we were talking about this episode is that I didn't even realize was out there, and it has been for a little while. It's in hypothetical stages now. I don't think anybody knows of people doing this, but it's called gene doping.
This is cool. This is like the sci-fi enhancements.
This is hypothetical, but they do know there are substances that do make genetic changes for physiological change. You might have seen the pictures of I think they're called Hulk mouse.
Yeah, they're
gene modded mice, and they're these bulked up like bodybuilder mice that they just give them a certain substance. It changes their genetic makeup so that they build more muscle. Now, I think all of the substances that do this, they cause autoimmune reactions that end up being very severe. So don't go out and buy any of this stuff, guys, because we're not there yet. But someday we might. There might be some substance that you can take that changes your genetics so that you build more muscle.
It's not just a substance. This is a gene mod carried by a virus. So it's a little more complex than just chemical composition.
Right, but at the same time, it's something that we may have access to in the near future.
Oh yeah, that's exciting actually. And this gets into our whole gene modding episode. But yeah, the fact that it could be right around the corner, that we're going to be able to make people essentially better, faster, stronger from a very early age. That's exciting. I mean, our cyborg Olympics are looking better and better all the time.
And if the medical community and if the community can come up with ways to mitigate the risks of all of this, I'm all for it. I'd love if we could develop a new, more physically capable human. So let's wrap it up there, Brian. I want to thank our listeners for listening. We want to invite all of you to email us at cyborgs@twocyborgs.com, or you can shoot either of us an email. My email's tim@twocyborgs.com, and Brian is brian@twocyborgs.com.
We've got our website going, twocyborgs.com. Check out our Cafe Press store. You can get the hooded sweatshirts or t-shirts or dog shirts, so you can support our podcast and you can stay clothed. This is Brian McAvoy.
And this is Tim Shank. You have been listening to Two Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by two cyborgs that both have microphones.
Like, follow, share, +1, and don't forget to subscribe on any of the popular podcast services, including Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher. Help us move up that podcast ladder by subscribing and commenting on iTunes. All right, we'd also like to tell our listeners about our Patreon page, where you can go and support us financially. And if you can't support us financially, give us a comment on iTunes.